What's up everybody? Shawn here with another Live to Roll video. So this is going to be a video, a follow-up on my sex and masturbation video I did a few years ago. Because actually things have changed for me and things have changed over time. So I kind of want to just go into some of that and give some of the things that have helped me over the years. For any of you guys that are looking to achieve ejaculation after spinal cord injury. Erections are pretty typical, not too hard to get, especially with some ED meds, but ejaculation is a little bit more difficult. So we're going to get into that real quick. Just to give you guys a brief history of myself is pretty much, so I've been injured for 18 years now. For the first 12 years of my injury, I could not ejaculate from just having sex. I actually needed to use the vibrator, which is what I'm going to talk about today, which is, some vibration stimulation to trigger that autonomic reflex and get you to ejaculate. So for the first 12 years of my injury, I could get erections no problem. I could have sex. I really had no sensation at all from it, which actually that's not true. The first 7 or 8 years I didn't. But over the next few years, I got like minor sensations, things, they are kind of almost like AD, so they're probably like an autonomic response in your body. But they were like little sensations that did feel good, and I was able to like kind of, realize if things were going good or whatever. But after 12 years, I actually ended up, when I was with my ex-girlfriend now, but when we were together one night, I felt the feeling like when we were having sex, I could actually feel the feeling that I was getting close to ejaculating like I would if I was using my vibrator. So sure enough, a minute or two later, I actually did ejaculate, and I came, like I couldn't believe it. And so from that point on, I kind of tried to start working on that a little bit. And, me and her tried to kind of figure out what did work, what didn't work. And it was a little bit, there was certain positions that worked better than others and things like that. Really just keeping the pressure off the bladder was one of the main key things. Too much weight or bouncing on the bladder would inhibit it a little bit. So basically after that, I realized that, okay, like maybe I can ejaculate after this. So now I'm going to kind of get into like all the things I've gone through in this 18-year journey. So basically to start, I started with the FertiCare, which is a medical vibrator you can get online. I have links and stuff down. You can check it out. It's called the FertiCare. It's actually a medical vibrator, so you need a prescription for it, and it's like $700. It's a really expensive piece of equipment, which I did, and I got that for my first one, and it worked. It did the trick. It did what it was supposed to do, but it was really cheaply made. It broke several times. I had to send it back. So I ended up just getting a magic wand massager, or kind of just one of the cheaper wand massagers. I think I got it from like Brookstone, Sharper Image, like one of those places back in the day in the mall. So I ended up picking one of those up, and it worked. The vibration wasn't as intense, but it actually still allowed me to achieve ejaculation. Eventually I got the magic wand, the Hitachi magic wand, which is a bigger, larger wand, and it just has more amplitude, more vibration, and you can get, what I used was a dimmer switch for a lamp. So if you plug the dimmer switch in between your wand and the wall, you can actually use that to control the amperage, and you can like actually dial in how much vibration you want. So you can really figure out what works best for you. And it might be different for everybody else. Like really intense doesn't work very well for me. I need kind of like mid-intense. If it's too low, it won't work. If it's too much, it won't work. So I need to kind of have that middle area, personally. So from the magic wands, I found actually eventually they make a penis attachment for the magic wand. It actually attaches to the top of it, and it's a sleeve made for your penis. So it actually is a male ejaculation toy. And it works really well. So that actually worked way better than just the regular wand. It kind of gave vibration all over the entire thing, and it just worked really well. For me, that thing works stupendously. Anyways, for a lot of years, I would have sex, and sometimes I wouldn't be able to come afterwards. So I would use the vibrator after we were done, and then be able to ejaculate and finish. Then we were both whatever, like we go to bed or whatever, we were doing for the day. So yeah, now that I am single, I use the wand a little bit more. And I kind of honestly, it was getting a little bit, I don't want to say it was getting boring, but it was like, it was the same thing over and over. And I kind of wanted to change. And the thought was in my head that, I could actually ejaculate from sex. So why not actually try like a fleshlight, one of those actual like male masturbators? So I actually did go get one of those recently, just a few months ago, and tried it, and lo and behold, it worked. It actually works really well. So now that my body has gotten to the point where I can just ejaculate from regular, like no vibration, just the actual motion of sex. I do need the fleshlight because quad hands aren't the greatest for doing things. The fleshlight seems to be perfect for me. I can get my hands around it, hold it, and it works fine. So that's what I've kind of evolved to over the years. But that has really taken all those years. It's been progression. And now the other thing that I have to share is the sensation that I talked about early on. Like when I would get no sensation at all, I would be hard, I could have sex, but really didn't feel much of it at all. It's gotten to the point now where I have incredible sensation. It's almost it's intense kind of now. So when I'm having sex, it is definitely like a lot different than it was 18 years ago. I can feel, I can't actually feel the touch, the sensation. I can't feel what it feels like inside, but I get a lot of just, it's hard to explain. Like I kind of said before, it's like an autonomic trigger response, I think. It might be some mild levels of AD that I've over the years learned to like enjoy that level of it, and then I don't know honestly. And the other thing is with the AD, make sure you consult your doctor before any of this. You want to talk to your urologist just to be sure to be careful, because you can get autonomic dysreflexia. And if you don't know what that is, I have some videos and some information. I'll have a link, you can check that out. But it's basically a response that your body gives off for spinal cord injuries T6 level and above. So anybody that's a quad or a mid-level para, you're pretty much going to get the autonomic dysreflexia. And you have to be careful. You can get a headache. There's a lot of things that can go on to it. So just be very careful, be cautious. This is my warning. Please just make sure you're careful, because it can trigger dysreflexia. So I need to make sure that's clear. Okay, so I'm going to get into some of the things that help me achieve ejaculation, because it's not always easy every time. So some of the things that can inhibit are obviously a UTI or infection. If I have a bladder infection or anything like that, it's going to not let me get erections as much. Just my bladder overall is not going to feel very good, and it's going to be a lot harder to get hard and to ejaculate. The other thing is meds. If you're on a bunch of pain meds, pills, muscle relaxers and stuff, same effect. They're probably going to limit your ability to get an erection, as well as probably inhibit the ability to ejaculate. The other thing that I've actually even noticed is when I've taken my Ditropan, because I do a Ditropan XL once a day, which is a 15 milligram pill that's it's just a bladder relaxant, so it stops your bladder from spasming as much, so you don't pee on yourself, have little leakages or anything like that. I've noticed that when I've taken my pill, half hour or whatever before I've had sex or masturbated, it's taken longer to ejaculate, and a couple times I've not been able to. So I think it might have some effect on it. I still have been able to do it, but like I said, it just took longer. So that's a good thing. If you are having sex, it might be actually good if you're trying to prolong the experience to take it, because at this point now, I actually come a lot faster than I probably would even want to during sex, but it works great for me if I'm just on my own. So, and the other thing about that is, for me personally, it's a lot easier to achieve ejaculation with an erection. Now, most of the vibrator tools actually will allow you to achieve ejaculation without having an erection. You can be limp and you can actually still stimulate the nerve you need. And your penis will get a little bit harder as you ejaculate. Like it'll get, it'll, I guess, some blood will stay in there a little bit, and you'll get like a semi-erection. Or at least that's what happens to me typically. But, so the thing is about that, when you don't have an erection, it tends to take a lot longer, for one. It's just a lot longer to stimulate that nerve and to get it going. And I don't know if that's just, it could be a bunch of things. Like I said, I am not an actual professional. You do want to talk to your doctor. I'm just somebody that's sharing my experience over the last 18 years of dealing with this. So yeah, like I said, you can totally ejaculate without having an erection. But for me personally, and this might just be a mental thing, whatever it is, I personally just get a lot more enjoyment from it when I have an erection. I don't know, it just makes me feel better, I guess, about myself, about it, which is probably just a really stupid male ego thing. I don't know. But anyways, I do personally get more enjoyment from it. So if I'm not able to get a good erection, a lot of times I won't even try to masturbate or to ejaculate. Unless, and this is the thing, actually I'll get into this in 1 second. So unless I need to, basically, and there are times that actually helps certain things that I do in my daily life. So I'll get into that right now at the very end here too. But just a couple other tips. On the just achieving the ejaculation. Like I said, UTI, anything inhibiting your bladder, problems like if you have a stone, anything like that, obviously going to cause issues. It's going to be harder for you. Pills, pain meds, anything like that, definitely going to contribute to the your ability to ejaculate. So another thing, like I said, getting an erection, I can actually ejaculate easier, and I just enjoy it better, more. So even when I'm by myself sometimes, if it's in the evening and I have a little bit more trouble getting and sustaining an erection for a while, I will actually take ED meds. So I take Cetaphil, which is just a knockoff Viagra, generic Viagra. I know there's a lot of other options out there. Cialis, which is like Tadalafil, I think is the generic. I know people that use that and it works great for them. I haven't personally tried it, so I can't give you my experience on that. And then Trimex is an injection that actually they inject into your penis. I have not tried that, but from everything I've read on Facebook groups and different forums online, that seems to be the one to go to if you cannot get an erection otherwise. So you might want to check those kind of things out. So yeah, there's a lot of options for the different ED meds out there. I pretty much just have experience with Viagra or Cetaphil. And for me, that works. It works okay. I typically don't have too much of an issue getting an erection, especially in the mornings. It's very active typically. As my day goes and I get tired, I guess like any other guy, able-bodied or whatever, I get more tired and it gets a little bit harder later in the day to achieve an erection, or maybe not to achieve, but to sustain one for a while. So yeah, those are the ED meds I've used. Again, talk to your doctor. You can get a prescription. You can get a lot of those pills online through pharmacies if you just go online and, like the Hims, Go Roman, I forget, there's a bunch of them out there. But the one thing I will warn you about, if you put that you have a spinal cord injury in there, they will deny you the meds and tell you to go see your own urologist and doctor because they want to do an in-person visit. So you may have to go to your doctor or just fudge that online thing. Allegedly, I don't know anything about that. But but I know if you do put that you have a spinal cord injury in there, that they will deny you. But otherwise, you can actually just get those things. They're pretty cheap online. There's a lot of stuff online you can get. I don't suggest doing anything because, but just talk to your doctor. look into it, do your own research, and figure out what'll work for you. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to get into, I mentioned there are times that I actually need to ejaculate, or like it really helps me. So over the years, I've found a few different things. One thing is my bladder. So when I do my catheter changes, because I have what's a suprapubic catheter, and if you want more information on that, I have plenty on the channel and on our website. You can look that up. But it's an indwelling catheter in my belly. It's kind of like below my waistline. So I get that changed every 3 weeks. Now when I get that changed, typically, it shocks my bladder. And I get bladder spasms and I pee on myself for 24 to 48 hours sometimes. Sometimes even more if I have a UTI, or if the change was a little bit traumatic, it just causes bladder spasms and really irritates in there. So one day I actually forgot I was getting my catheter changed, because for years I would never want to ejaculate on the day I got my catheter changed. I just thought, it's too much going on down there for it. But one day I actually, in the morning, me and my girlfriend had sex, I came, and I forgot, oh, today's my catheter change, whoops. But it turned out that later when I got my catheter changed that day, it was one of the easiest changes I had in a while. I had almost no leakage, very few bladder spasms, and by that night I had already stopped peeing on myself and woke up completely dry, no leakage at all. So I was like, oh, well, was that a coincidence? Because that has happened on occasion. Sometimes if I'm in perfect bladder health, like maybe twice a year I'll get those catheter changes. And it just, I honestly don't even know what it is on some of them. But this one, it had happened on that one. So I didn't really think too much of it. I just figured it was maybe one of those couple that happen a year. But again, I think another year or so down the line, I ended up ejaculating on the morning of a catheter change. Same thing, boom. No bladder spasms really, very little. I was back almost to normal very quickly. So I started to correlate that, and now I've realized that if I ejaculate on the morning of my catheter change, my bladder spasms are so reduced, because after you do come, it causes your whole body to relax. Everything is like way more mellow. My spasms are done for hours. For the whole day, it's way more mellow. I guess that affects my bladder as well. So the bladder spasms are way more down. I have very few bladder spasms. So when they change the catheter for me, it just is way easier, way nicer. I don't have the leakage and peeing problems. So I typically do try to change my catheter every time. I try to ejaculate every time I'm going to change my catheter. So those are the days I'm talking about, like if I can't get a good erection. Like on some mornings, I'm like, oh, it's not going to work that great. Screw it, I'm just not going to do it. On the catheter change days, I will either take a Cetaphil so that I make sure I sustain that erection, or I will just do it limp to make sure. Either way, I will try to get that ejaculation in, because it's just so much more comfortable for me the rest of the day and the following day if I do that before my catheter change. And then the other thing is, but I mentioned the spasms already. Body spasms are just way decreased, way better through the whole day. But the other thing is now, with the new system, for the last probably, 8-9 months now, I've been using a Peristeen system, which is, it's made by Coloplast. It's an enema system for my bowels. Basically just flushing water up my butt, coming back out. And since switching to this system, I have realized another thing. As long as I ejaculate maybe once a week, it keeps that working better. If I don't ejaculate enough, if it's been too long, it's been a couple weeks, a month, whatever, I will get more, it's harder to keep the water in. Like I get more spasms down there, and it releases the water before it needs to and doesn't evacuate my bowels like it's supposed to. So that's another thing I found. So for me, being able to regularly ejaculate really helps me in my daily life. It helps me with my bladder care. It has health benefits to it. It's not that I'm just a sex fiend and need to, masturbate every day. It's not like that. It actually has a lot of benefits to my body. right, so yeah, that's pretty much some of the reasons why I do it, and would do it limp or take the Cetaphil before doing it, like in the morning or whatever, to make sure I can achieve ejaculation, because it really helps with my day-to-day life. Alright, so that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys were able to take some info from it. You can definitely ask me any questions in the comments. If you're more comfortable messaging me, you can message me on Instagram. You can email me at shawn@livetoroll.org. Anything you want to do, reach out. No problem. I have no problem answering questions. You can check out the website as well. I have a few of the toys that I've actually tried and reviewed on there. So you can check those out. There's a lot of options out there. There's a lot of people you can talk to. If you're on Facebook, there's groups and stuff. You can just message on there. I know that can be not so comfortable because it's, a public forum. You don't want some people to see maybe. Reach out to some of us privately. It's totally fine. I know me and a bunch of other people are totally willing to share stuff like this. And I've had friends that I've known for years locally through the Triumph Foundation and different things that have actually come to me privately and asked me because they've seen I'm okay with talking about it. So, find somebody that's comfortable to talk about it with you, and also make sure to talk to your doctor about it. Talk to your urologist, just because you have to be safe. You don't want to get an autonomic dysreflexia, just crazy bad trigger, and end up having, a stroke or anything crazy like that, because those are possibilities. And like I said, I have information on dysreflexia, so please check out my AD stuff if you need more info on that. Alright, thank you guys for watching the video. We appreciate you. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like that video. Like I said, any questions, anything like that, down below there. Check us back out every week. We're here Tuesdays and Thursdays with lives or videos. Yeah, we're back, guys. Live to roll. Let's get a fist bump. Later, everyone.